In today's tough business environment, you need more than just a great idea. You need a game plan. With celebrity business experts Kevin Harrington, widely known as the king of the infomercial, and Laura Betterly, an expert in mobile, internet, and social media marketing. Hosted by Vonabelle Sherman. With entrepreneur guests, PicTime Mobile. Watch as up-and-coming and established entrepreneurs give their pitch to our celebrity experts and get their game plan to take their business to the next level.
Welcome to Game Plan, where the pros show entrepreneurs how to take their businesses to the next level step by step. Our first celebrity co-host, well, you probably recognize him from Shark Tank. He was the original shark. Please welcome the king of infomercials, Kevin Harrington.
Great
Hi.
to be here, Vonabelle. Thanks for having me. I hear we have some exciting products today, so
we really do.
Really looking forward to hearing how we can help these companies go to the next step.
Yeah. And our co-host as well is Laura Betterly. She is an internet marketing genius. She's also Google certified and an expert in mobile marketing.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to have you here.
Yeah, looking
We have
forward.
some great products that we're going to look at and talk about, and we'll get right to it. We're ready to introduce you to our next guest. His name is Tony Whedon, and he is the visionary behind PicTime mobile application. And he's not just the visionary for that, he's also a United States Air Force pilot. Pretty impressive. Let's welcome Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hi. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank
Tony,
you.
good to see you. How you
Thank
doing?
you for serving.
Laura, thank you.
You're welcome,
Thanks
but
for
you're
paying your
also
taxes.
good comeback. So you are not only a pilot, but you have a whole entrepreneurship spirit about you.
I am an entrepreneur. I realized that a couple years ago. I took a class called Entrepreneurship, and I'm reading the first chapter, and I said to my wife, "Hey, come in here. They're talking about me in this book. They're talking," and she's like, "Well, you didn't know you're an entrepreneur?" I was like, "I didn't know there was a word for me." So
very
Wow.
good.
that's where I learned a couple years ago. So.
Okay, so you put that to use with this mobile app called PicTime. How does that work? How is it different from another app?
So PicTime it's a mobile application for unlimited photo uploads for social events, whether public or private, and then it automatically puts them in sequential order based on time.
Wow.
So I guess if you're going to Thanksgiving dinner and you're taking photos and she's taking photos and you're taking photos and I'm taking photos and we're all taking pictures, as we upload them, it's automatically putting them in order based on time, which could be a private event or a public event.
Does everybody upload to the same place then? Is that how that works? Or?
It depends. Yep. So you could have your own personal one that could just be, Kevin Harrington, and it could only be for you, or you could have it publicly, and then anything you upload, kind of like Facebook, as you scroll through and you see people's photos, but it's going to actually be an entire album that they can scroll through and see, and they could scroll back and think, well, what does he look like when he was born? And it would show you at the top, the date and the time, and as you scroll through, you'll see the sequential order of the actual photos.
Now, what I like about that is many times we've uploaded things and then maybe a friend uploaded, but they're not in order. Maybe I'm at a wedding and the reception is there before the bride got there, and then you're seeing the bride later. And so what I like is that I can upload them in any order, and you're going to put them in order for me so that those viewing it will see perhaps the wedding in its proper perspective.
Absolutely.
Is that what it does?
Are you going to integrate that with like Facebook and other mobile apps?
It is, and I'll show you a picture in a second. Kind of, you can log in directly with Facebook from the beginning.
Awesome.
And you mentioned like an event. So the girl who actually did the logo, her husband, he turned 50, and so she sent out hey, send me videos, send me pictures, send me all this stuff. I was like, man, if we were done with this, you could just upload them and you could select the date, whether it's scanned in, and they would have had all these pictures all in order and videos, all on a timeline that they could have just hit play and everything would have been done, but she had to put that all in order herself. So it's kind of neat that she's the one that designed the logo.
So it saves time and energy.
Absolutely.
Right?
So Tony, my father was in the Air Force. Congratulations, and I know the technical side of flying a plane is pretty difficult, especially today. But how about the technical side of building that app? Did you do a lot of this yourself, or Did you have some help? Did you contract it out, or how'd you get the work done?
So we're still in the process of developing it. So I'm the visionary behind it, but I don't quite have the expertise on this particular mobile app. Built a few in the past, but this one's a little bit more outside of my scope. So that's where our team, we've had to pull guys from the outside. Okay. I think it's a big enough idea. We didn't want to necessarily outsource it overseas because I don't know, we're going to have hundreds of millions of photos eventually, and so we didn't want it to have any sort of battles, that kind of stuff.
I like the way he's thinking. Hundreds of millions of photos.
Oh,
How
yeah,
about that?
yeah, yeah.
That's good job.
You have to start by thinking big.
Right.
I think that you get what you think. So if you think small, then it'll stay small. So and it's good that you're looking at from a scaling standpoint, because in actual fact, that's where a lot of small businesses make mistakes, is that they don't actually look far enough ahead, that they have the infrastructure there to actually make things work. So that is really actually quite smart.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, I know from the internet standpoint, this being, I'm a TV guy,
Right.
You're an internet gal, right? So you had some, I know we were talking a little bit earlier, some of the great ideas. You asked about Facebook, but what are some of the other kind of places on the internet that you would go with this?
Well, here's the thing. The one thing that most people don't realize is that our mobile phones are now our computers, really. And people, more than 50% of all searches and all social media and whatnot happen on mobile devices. They do not happen on desktop computers. They happen on tablets, and they happen on iPhones and Androids.
Good point.
And it's going to keep happening that way. So really, I think when we are looking at a museum going forward, we're going to see a PC, and people are going to start laughing because, like, what is that?
Yeah.
And really, it's going away because our device is now with us 24/7. And that there's good things about it and there's bad things, and we're not going to get into that now. We just know that that's where it's going. And I'm sure at some point we're going to be able to have holographic images, so that we'll have larger screens, and some of the things that we're now battling with technology are going to be solved. Yeah. And there you go. And it's happening, and it's happening at a hugely rapid rate.
So it's good timing for this app.
Yeah.
Because of the technology.
Agree.
So your development idea and timing is probably perfect, right?
Thank you. And I know with Laura being a marketing person, you'll love the idea of what we're wanting to do with businesses, kind of similar to Facebook pages, is that you can only allow 100 photos for your business. So, in the queue, there can be tens of thousands of photos there. Right. But then as people upload, whether it's a restaurant, you could say, hey, the next, whoever uploads photo number 247 gets a free lunch or whatever. And then when your photos are selected, then it notifies them and notifies other people who have uploaded, hey, you've been selected as one of the 100 people in PicTime.
Oh, now that's interesting. Yeah. Because say a business wants to run a special. They have a costume that they use at their restaurant. Right. If you're dressed up like it and you upload pictures that look like it to their site, they know what came in what order, and then as a promotion you could say the 100th picture is getting this coupon, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's a whole new...
There's a lot of interesting things you can do, especially when you're talking about small local businesses who are not actually early adopters of this technology, but really it's the lifeblood of your mom and pop businesses, is being mobile enabled, being able to be found that way, having contests and games that engage people and have them come back to their restaurant and their, bowling alley or whatever that is. I mean, go down any street in USA, all those little businesses all need this type of technology.
Tony, at what point will you have proof of concept that this is a winner, that this is going to just go? I mean, wouldn't it be great to get a Facebook app, acquisition like you read about some of these billion-dollar deals? I mean, how do you prove this thing out?
Well, that's our vision. So you look at Instagram, right? It's a great app, but it's just photos. I mean, that's really all it is, and it's single photos. And this is really filling in the gap of Facebook and Instagram with the vision that Facebook is going to say, hey, we want to buy that. Because what the difference in PicTime and Instagram is Instagram's just uploading one photo at a time, and it puts a really cool filter on there, which we can do the cool filter as as well. But what we really care about is stuff like this. I mean, an event, right? You know, if we had a PicTime event right now, as you're taking pictures or you're taking pictures or she's taking pictures, we can make it public out there or we can make it private. You know, you can push the game plan out, and let's actually put a little thing in there just for you today that has the game plan, it has Laura on the app. But,
is there something for you to show us?
Yeah, I'll show you here. I'll pull it up really quick. So,
cool.
well, there's my daughter.
Oh, beautiful.
The
don't let everybody see that.
Okay.
Can you see that? All right, so if they zoom in, so this is what it looks like when you first open it. And then it automatically goes into register with Facebook or email or login. And a cool feature that's going to have is you mentioned weddings, right? So a lot of people upload their wedding album. They have the best pictures in there, which is what PicTime is really about, is having those best pictures. Well, you can suck in that data into PicTime and say, this is my wedding album, and then automatically sorts them in order based on the time they were taken, because smartphones will tell you what time and date the photo was taken, right? Well, then the really cool thing is it searches your friends and it says, well, Kevin took pictures on that day. Is that part of your wedding? And you took pictures, and she took pictures, and I took pictures. And then it goes, is this picture from your wedding? And you say yes, and then it adds it automatically to your wedding album.
Like a facial recognition? Or is it going to be friend-based, where you're friending someone like you do on?
It's going to be more friend-based. So it's going to, since you're registering with Facebook, it knows who your friends are, and then it's looking back the date of the event. You mentioned wedding, and then it's going, what photos did Laura take on that day? What photos did Kevin? And then it's going, oh, this looks like the same location. Was this from your wedding? And then you're like, yes, and then it adds it to your album.
It's intuitive almost,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the word.
Yeah, there's some interesting things. It always ceases to amaze me, like when I upload something to Facebook, and it'll be like, would you like to tag insert friend I haven't seen in 6 months? Picture, you know, be like, wow.
Yeah, how'd you know that?
Yeah,
exactly.
How'd you know that?
Well, they're getting
stuff.
more and more information. So once you get in, it'll look something like this, and this is just the basic feed, kind of like Facebook. You know, you scroll through and you see your news feed. Well, this tells you, hey, this prom 2014. This is your friend, and this is Shauna. She's the one that did the logo. And so there's 333 photos on there. 49 people uploaded those photos, and then 12 of those are your friends. So then you can even scroll on further. When you touch on it, you can say, well, I just want to see the photos Laura took, or I just want to see the photos Kevin took, and then you can see those on the timeline. And then as you scroll through, you can see down here, there's Laura Betterly on the game plan. But so then we got timelines, and those are actually
You've been included.
Yeah. So timeline is actually things that you created. So you created your own timeline. And so as you're uploading pictures of that, you know, I think of like my daughter. And so as I upload, I don't necessarily share that with the whole world, but any photos that I take or I add family members and they take of her, it'll automatically, you know, put them based on time.
Wow.
That's nice.
Is there any kind of a patent that you might be able to apply for with something like this? I mean, it sounds very, very unique.
It's interesting you mentioned patents, because I did talk with a patent attorney, and he said that one of the things about this is it's, I guess I give a relevance of like a magician. You read a magic book, right, and you learn all these different tricks, but a really good magician takes those tricks and then he puts them all together and creates his own trick. But it's not necessarily anything different. He's just taking different skill sets that he learned from the magic book. So this is basically taking all the technologies that are out there and just integrating them in a much user-friendly and an easier way to upload photos.
Good.
Very clever.
So he said there was nothing I could necessarily patent. He's just like, this is a great idea. I think a lot of people will use it.
Yeah, super.
And that's what you want. You want a lot of people to use it and make something that makes your life easier.
So let me ask you the big, hard question here. So this is great. And it's wonderful, and I think it can get great adoption. How are you going to monetize this?
So monetization, that's an excellent question. Okay, so imagine your wedding. We'll go back to weddings, and I don't want to keep going back to weddings because it could be the prom, right? It could be an NFL football game. It could be a local restaurant. That's where I don't want to tailor it just to weddings, but
a major event where a lot of family and friends attended.
Yeah, let's say it is it's your wedding, right? And there was 100 people there, and there ends up being like 2,500 photos. And you select those top 100 photos. Well, you can export it as a photo book, right? Which we're going to partner up with a company. I'm not going to say who they are, but we're going to partner up with them. And then you can export that album as a photo book. And let's say maybe it's $50, right? Well, we're going to get a serious discount because we're going to push a lot of business their way. But just like Facebook, it's really about traffic, right? As a marketer, you understand traffic. And so if there's, 100 million people that have the app downloaded, I mean, when Facebook launched, when they launched their IPO, they weren't even marketing on mobile devices yet. And I bought them day one because I knew, like, there's a billion people that are looking on their phone and they're not even marketing to them yet. Right. So you turn that on at a penny a person, I mean, that adds up fast.
And so you're going to do some advertising on top of that?
Absolutely.
You have an ad model? That's smart. That's very smart.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Something similar to what Facebook does, or not something that's intrusive, but as you're looking at photos, maybe there's an ad in there, or maybe there's a video, or maybe there's a, hey, click here to download this app or download that.
So, Tony, as an entrepreneur, did you raise capital around this? You know, you're in the Air Force, so you know it's like these things take capital. So, what are your plans to?
And this
in
is
terms
serious
of,
capital, and
right.
that is one of our on the survey. That's one of the issues that we're having, is that we've raised a serious amount, but we really need 3 full-time developers to push it to the next level, and so that's where we're at right now, is raising that additional capital.
Okay.
You might want to do a Kickstarter.
I agree, especially maybe some footage from this. They might be interested.
Like yeah.
Crowdfunding.
Kickstarter's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know?
I think crowdfunding is a really smart way to go on a lot of stuff, because you can take a little bit of capital. And not only, see, I look at a lot of people, they put their Kickstarter up and they don't know how to drive traffic. See, I'll put a Kickstarter up, I know how to drive traffic. Right. I'm going to be buying Facebook clicks to my Kickstarter, and that story on Kickstarter is going to make you cry, and you're going to want to be part of it.
That's good information, good advice.
Definitely.
To drive that.
And by the way, the Kickstarter's one, there's Indiegogo.
Yes,
is there any crowdfunding outlet that caters to anyone from the military? That might be something to check into.
I don't know.
There's over 1,000 crowdfunding websites now.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know?
And there's quite a few, and they each have. And of course, I said Kickstarter first, but there's different advantages of Indiegogo over that, and it really depends on what your purpose is and where you're going on it. Okay. But you're right. There's a lot more, and you know, that whole military thing, I think, is really well. First of all, I mean, you know, we thank you. For sure, but yeah, I think that that's a really smart place to research to see if there's
the right site.
Yeah,
you know, when you do crowdfunding, you can only do really one at a time.
That's
You can't put it up on 5 different sites.
That's correct.
So if you got one, you got to focus on the best one
Right.
and drive it. You know, and that's where you come in. So I think he's got you on his website there. So I think he's going to be checking in with you to help him out on the marketing side here.
We've actually met before, so yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Now you've had your TV guy and your internet gal. You've had great advice. You're really ready to take this to the next level, step by step, just listening to what these 2 talented pros have just given you. So I hope you enjoyed being here. It was a pleasure to help you create a game plan. And we'll look forward to hearing what happens to PicTime and Tony Whedon in the future. Thank you so much for being here, Tony.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay.
God bless you.
Good luck to you, Tony.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Wow. Interesting stuff. I love the visionary part of him. Well, it's technical in flying that plane and then bringing that vision to a new mobile app. And I'll bet he's going to come up with other stuff too.
I think it's the entrepreneurial spirit, you know, that really drives me with what I do day to day. But looking at somebody like Tony gives me a lot of faith that he's going to make it. You know, I think. So I said, where are you with the capital? He's going to. Sounds like he needs a little bit of capital still.
Right.
You know, Kickstarter crowdfunding is a good way to maybe take a look. But how would you, if that were yours, where would you go to market? Let's assume you have the capital.
Okay, well, I have the capital. Okay. Then what I would do is there's several things I would do. One is that I think that something like this lends itself to real PR, right?
Okay.
So you know, an app that gets written up in People magazine or gets in any, even on Huffington Post or gets any of that kind of, that always gives it a little bit of a, goose, right, to start with. Right. Now you can buy direct app downloads from Facebook on the mobile app. You know, if you're on Facebook on your mobile device like I am, and I shouldn't be most of the time, but nonetheless, don't tell anybody. You can actually you can buy downloads. So you can so really your first threshold is to make sure it's something that people are going to love and is going to be viral and whatnot, so that people are going, hey, check this out. I just did this, blah, 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 blah. And I think he's got enough juice there to be able to get that done. But yeah, that. But I think that something this large needs to not only be a bit of a whisper campaign, but I think it needs to have a little bit of star power. Yeah.
And I have one
Well said.
very strong recommendation for Tony. He's in the Air Force. It's camaraderie that develops, you know, being together with the other pilots and the rest of the Air Force. If he could get it, once he gets the app done, if he could get a track record of people within his sphere of influence to get it rolling and get some momentum, because investors, what they look for are, they look for test periods, you know, and then they like to see the metrics of the performance and what's happening with the test. So if he gets hundreds and then thousands on it, and now he can see, because he's talking about, you know, hundreds of millions of pictures, you got to start with thousands of pictures, right? So that's what he has to do. And if he can get the camaraderie of the Air Force to help him get that Kickstarter test,
you know,
then it could take off.
He might even look at partnering with some of, you know, other people that he's working with and whatnot. You know, a certain amount of early adopters, maybe give them a little bit of an incentive to be even part owner, or, you know, a very small percentage, but enough that they can have some pride in that it's theirs and whatnot to also push on. And there's so many different ways to go. I mean, this is one of those creative things that I could just go on for hours, and I know we don't have that.
Well, we're just about out of time, but you guys have given great advice. Thank you so much for being here. Well, thanks for joining us on GamePlan. We hope you've enjoyed this segment, and we'll look forward to bringing more businesses on to help them make their game plan.